And you're very welcome to the Townhead podcast from my car. And I've got a funny feeling this could be an episode of Carpool Karaoke. Joining me today is Andrew Gallagher. Just the two of us on, and both of us are in our cars.
Both in the limos, both in our own limos this week. Yeah, where's Peter when you need him?
Yeah, exactly. He kicked it all off, and he's not even around for it anymore. Look, Gally, I think we just said we will jump on, even though there was only two of us available. These afternoon kickoffs on a Saturday really do not suit the majority of us. No, definitely not. Well, it depends. Are you at a barbecue there, Gally?
I'm at a barbecue. Yeah, I'm at a barbecue.
It's obviously all right for some people, mind you.
Yeah, I'm designated driver, so I'm on the Zero Heineken tonight.
Perfect. Look, I presume you got a chance to watch the game. What did you think of that tonight?
We should have been decided at half time. I think that's, like, even if you look at Twitter as well, I think that was the consensus. I was even listening to Adrian Taff and Flano, and it really should have been. And we were, and even at that, we weren't even outstanding. But the second half kind of died away. But we were saying to ourselves just before, the heat. I was shocked. The most shocking thing was that the game went ahead. I didn't actually think the game would go ahead on the heat, especially the AstroTurf. It must be like, put your hand on that ground, it must be like tarmac.
Yeah, there's a lot of watering going on in that pitch, I can tell you. From I think it was 1 o'clock, nearly.
Yeah, like even after about 50 minutes of the game, boys were dead in their feet, just kind of, just that heat. And there probably wasn't a lot of breeze. I don't know. I know at the minute here there's not a lot of breeze.
Nothing, dead air.
It must be just a massive struggle for them, especially like if the Finn Harps lads travelled down this morning or even last night. That's a long day in that heat waiting around for football matches. But look, they definitely should have been at side at half time, easily 4-0. But I thought they'd done all right. I thought what I did take from the game, and it's mad when we consider we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. If Sam Stanton now goes missing, I find that's a massive hole in the centre of the park. He's key to getting anybody. He's key to that kind of role in midfield. I'm not saying he's on the Chris Shields level, but he kind of, not that he ran the game, but I thought he was excellent tonight. I still think we're a little bit off at the back, but you miss Brian Garland and Dan Cleary. Any club missing both in the centre half, the injury is going to struggle. But Sam Stanton in particular for me was excellent. I thought he kind of, I wouldn't say he's indispensable, I suppose, but I think he's definitely
he's at the start of everything you do, though, isn't he?
Yeah, his last couple of games, his last half a dozen matches, just been top class. Really thought he's really stepped up, but maybe with the start of the season was his fitness. Maybe that was the problem. Coming into the league a little bit late, but I thought he was excellent. And again, another just solid performance. Not blowing people away, but just a solid, good midfield performance.
It's funny chatting after the match, even with Flano there. He even said, Stanton's come on so much, and you can see the rest of the players now know his game, because when he comes in and collects the ball off the back four, Sonny Nandestead and Andy Boyle kind of push up slightly in front of him, so he's actually the last man in front of Habibi, so he can spray the ball to anybody. Everybody on the pitch is now ahead of him to play a ball to. Like, he seems to really love that, sit in that pocket as a quarterback, and you can see the whole field in front of him and start to play that way. And in particular in the first half, I know not as much in the second half. I thought Fats was just, God, he was like he was playing on ice. They just could not touch him. Every time he would flick a ball in through legs or around, and he easily could have.
So he had so much time on the ball. Yeah, he had so much time on the ball, but I don't think they know what to do with him. I think, like, even to watch the game, and it's a credit to him as well that people know he's signed for Derry, but he's still pulling in performance like that. I thought he was excellent again today. Yeah. His range of passing is just. I know Steph McClevitt has mentioned it before, so we'll mention nothing new, but his range of passing is ridiculous. It's crazy what he can do. When himself and Duffy are on it, they're unplayable. They really are. I think McMillan, with the three number there, McMillan's playing. I actually think McMillan suits them better than Hoban. But another cracking match. But not like, I think himself. It's a pity himself and Stanton work really well together. But now that's going to be short-lived, unfortunately. But look, it's solid. It's the usual suspects. Duffy again, a good game. Sonny, I've seen somebody mention Sonny there.
Flano.
I think the jury's still out on him. He's not bad, but
yeah. He's just slow. I think it's sometimes Sonny's reading of the game. He seems to, and he's such a big lad, like you say. Like, he should be winning everything in the air compared to, like, Andy Boyle in particular. Like, I thought Andy Boyle was immense, super block and everything in the second half for it. But I think Sonny maybe just needs more games. Maybe that's what it is. He's just not played enough.
That's what it is, yeah. Like, I mean, no, he's had a torrid time with injuries and he's been away and, you know, international level. But hopefully it's just a learning curve for him. I do think that, like, we've seen in the President's Cup and early on, he is a solid player when he wants to be. But, you know, when we're missing the likes of Garth and Cleary, any team in the league misses that. You know, like, it's, you know, you take any two centre halves out of any club. But they're going to have to sign a centre half. They're going to have to sign. Like, I know if money's there, if Vinny's allowed to sign players, but to kind of cement that fourth spot, if they're going to keep it, or they're going to try and go for it, I think they have to get a centre half in, because if one of them goes missing, we're really struggling. There doesn't seem to be anybody in the 19s that's coming up.
No, and you did have Beasley who could have dropped in there previously to get you out of a hole. Yeah, there's nobody from that middle of the park at the moment, I could say.
Yeah, you'd like to think Sahiba would be an option, but he's not even an option for midfield. You know, never mind centre half. He's not even an option for his actual position. Look, it's a headache for Vinny, and fair play to Vinny. I know a lot of people, we've had hours of discussions on the podcast with Vinny Peart and is he right for the job and blah, but he's got them playing. He's got them. They look like a solid team.
It has to be the settled team, though.
Yeah,
because chopping and changing was getting us nowhere.
Yeah,
and it wasn't allowing anybody on the fringe to even settle into the game.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the third unchained. Is it the third game
in
a row?
Yeah.
That's what you want, and you know, performance levels can only improve when they're looking at the same people on the pitch every week. You know.
Yeah. Like under Kenny, we could have picked the same team nearly every week. Yeah. You know, and most of the players probably good too. But that was the strength in that team. You know, like there's a fair bit to add to it, but you know, even in the first half in particular, I thought Jevkauskas had a really solid game there. Could have been on the score sheet maybe twice in the first half. Like I don't know how he didn't.
They couldn't handle him. I don't even think it was his pace. It was just his movement more than anything else. Not so much his pace. They just couldn't deal with him. Like I think he could actually play further up the pitch. I still don't. I'm not a massive fan of him going back, but I think he's back class going forward. But I think he's another option for right wing back, you know, even right winger if we're stuck. But yeah, another look at excellent game. I know it's Finn Harps, they've had a bad run, but you know, we have to remember they were top of the league at one stage. The first 5-6 weeks of the league they were flying.
There was a while that we couldn't put any of these teams to bed at all. It was in and around us. We were getting more points off Pats and Shamrock Rovers than we were off any of the teams below. So now at least we seem to be pushing them a little bit further down, which allows us to be. I mean, we were only chatting off air there now. You know, understanding that Bows still have a game in hand on us, but to be 3 points off Bows and how well they've been playing of late, like that's some comeback.
A turning manager. But look, it doesn't always work changing the manager or getting the manager in or going back to a manager, but I think it has worked here. And I know he's only into the end of the season, but you'd like to think, you know, discussions might be happening later on in the season. But I think he's just put all the years under Stephen Kenny and all the coaching together and said, look, this is what we have to do. I'm here to do it. You either want to do it or you don't. And I think it's great to see it. Even when you're watching them, there's more confidence in them. Even when the opposition have the ball, you feel that they're going to get it back. Whereas at the start of the season, they were just defending for their lives, and it was attack after attack to the opposition. And it's great. It's galvanised. That's the word. I mean, look,
galvanised. Right,
that's the word. That's what he's done for us, you know.
Yeah. For the goal, I mean, I think how Fats was even able to hold on to the ball in the box to lay it off. I don't know, because it looked like he got about 2 or 3 kicks to the shins. There was 2 lads all over the back of him, and he still managed to hold on to the ball to lay it off. And you know, and then Jevkauskas, like I say, unlucky not to get something on that. But McMillan, right place, right time every time, isn't he? Like that's. Have someone like that as your backup striker. If you take the Hubin is probably our first team starter up front, like to have someone like that, like there's nothing between them. Like I think I've always said, it depends on the opposition we play. I think we should swap it around who plays up front. But McMillan is just, you know, I think he's for the league. I think that's his 80th goal in the league in total, which puts him, I think, something like the 8th top goal scorer in the league ever. I think James Rogers had a stat. I probably completely butchered that and got it completely wrong. I glanced at it and went, oh yeah, I remember that. Not a hope. So apology, James, if I butchered your stat that you put up. But you know, it proves, you know, if I don't think Davy Mack done a whole lot in that game, but right place, right time, finishes, gets the goal, that's it. I'll take that from a striker all day long.
And that's the key though. Like, and Hubin would have had that run a couple of years as well. People are saying he's not doing a lot. But then you look at the goal scoring sheets and he's on top of them. He's top 3 every time. And that's all you're looking for. He's there to put the ball in the back of the net. If he does nothing else, he scores and we win. You can't really ask for much more than that. But yeah, I think Davy, when he's on it, I know. Like for me at the minute, Georgie Kelly's probably the best centre forward in the league, but Dave McMillan's not far behind him. I think I said it before. Hooban and Davy are probably 2 of the top 5 in the league for the last 5 or 6 seasons easily. But yeah, it's when you have to rely on him when he's there. It's a cry, like you say. Considering he's probably the second choice, I think he's excellent to have. Absolutely.
It's strange for us to be saying considering how this season's gone, but that's our 4th clean sheet so far this year in the league. But that's our 3rd clean sheet in a row. I didn't think we'd ever say that. And you could say, yeah, but you're only playing Newtown before that. But let's give credit where credit's due. That takes some going to play in that sort of heat today, and then 2 legs back to back. Then in the Europa Conference League before that, that's reputation building for the likes, I think, of Abibi that needs these sort of. He probably was. The Newtown game was probably perfect for him because he was just coming into a little bit of form. Now he's thinking, geez, I haven't conceded in so long, and that becomes a bit of a mindset sometimes as well. And I think, Andy Boyle in particular, since the break, since he's come back, I know he was super in the Pats game just before that, but I think he has just been an immense player, and I don't think he's probably not getting the credit that he deserves. But I thought he had another super game tonight.
Yeah, I think I even criticised Andy at the start of the season. I actually thought he might have been a wee bit not slow, but I thought he might have lost a yard of pace. But I think over the last couple of weeks, and look, maybe it's the setup of the management, the dugout. I don't know. Maybe he says, right, look, I'm a talisman here. I'm one of the main men here. I like to pull up my socks. They have to kind of, follow my lead type of thing and kind of inspire players. But he's been top class. But that's experience. You're talking about a multiple league winner, and that's what you need.
Exactly. Yeah, and in particular when we were struggling for form and players were bang out of form and we just were struggling to find a way to play together, I think it took someone like an Andy Boyle, like you say, with all that experience behind him, to probably gel that defence together. Leahy's come in and just got better and better. I know some of his crosses probably he kind of overhit them or underhit them today. He just wasn't in the sweet spot, but I would say conditions probably had a lot to do with that today. Because he didn't play a whole lot at the start of the year. To be thrown in several games in a row now in that sort of conditions, it can't have been easy for him.
No, I was sweating looking at the game. Like I said at the start, I thought there was a chance it might get called off because there were so many games. I know it's amateur football locally, but there's so many games called off that even for all clubs. Yeah. And I know it's not the same level, but I just like to run around at that level of football, professional football in that heat. I know Stonewall had a picture up 27 degrees in the warm up. And that's
and he wasn't breaking his sweat in the shed at all.
Sorry?
I said Antonio wasn't breaking a sweat in the shed. He was fine. He was sitting in the shed. Everything was fine for him, And
we got one photo. We got one photo of him.
One photo, yeah. The other thing I think, just to pick up from that, and it's something we picked up over the past few games as well, that midfield 3 seems to really have kind of consolidated themselves as our starting middle 3 with Stanting, Patchin and Fats. It's kind of hard to dislodge any of those 3 out of it because you can start to see those little triangles, these little patches of play. They all know how to play around each other. It's kind of for Sloggett coming back, you'd say he probably got injured at the wrong time.
Yeah, but he must just be like he wasn't. He was in and out at the start and then got a bit of a run and now he's back out again and he must be just absolutely cursing himself. But again, that's what squads are for. You need players to come in. Like we were hammering Stanton a couple of weeks ago, and it's turned around in his favour. And I think that it's a credit to the staff because this wasn't happening a couple of weeks ago. The 3 lads, we didn't know what was going to happen when Steve's left. Like all hell broke loose when we lost a player like that. But I think, like we keep saying, if those 3 are playing together, I know Fats is moving on at the end of the season, but if we can get those playing together, and it's consistency. So if you're playing with the same people, it learns. The problem we had at the start was there was so many chopping and changes at the start. People didn't know their positions. People didn't know. They were making 5 subs. There was no kind of cohesion. There was no kind of run at it. They were getting maybe 60 minutes each. There was nothing happening. One game they might start. You mightn't see it for 3 weeks. But now you've got that consistent level of lineup. It's all the team sheets. They're obviously working on it in training. their games and training must be the same setup. They must have the midfield must be the same against whatever subs we have. But it's vital. The way football is played now, it's vital to have 3 midfielders that can actually pass and move a ball and
understand each other.
Minimize everybody. I think Stanton's been it's like a new signing. It's when you got players like that who've had a poor start and then can come on like that. It's great.
Would you say the substitute today look like one eye on Thursday? It's like, get Davy McMillan off as quick as I can. It seemed like he was containing lads and going, right, I don't need them to overexert themselves now for Thursday, and that's a nice place to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's it. Like, I mean, when we were going for leagues and such, we probably wouldn't have seen that as much. We arguably would have had better squads then. But yeah, he's got it at one eye of the week, especially you've got your home draw, and it's now, I think, now been announced confirmed with the club, it's Tala. I think 1,000 fans as well. So look, you got to get up for that. Like, that's you got to have your best players out. You want to get up for that game. Haven't really seen a lot of talent. I've seen the highlights from the last game. Look, it's similar to Bate Bowers off a couple of years ago. But if any of the boys have done the homework.
Just actually on Thursday, like, I watched most of the second half against Young Boys, and I didn't rate them at all.
Yeah.
They now, like I said to somebody else, perhaps they're looking going, well, we're 3-1 up from our home leg. We've got this wrapped up. They had conceded their goal and got theirs back fairly quick, and I think it could have been a containment thing, but it just they didn't look like they were out to completely kill off Young Boys in that tie and wrap it up that I thought they could have, and they probably should have, looking at their team on paper, and if you look at the results, and they're doing very well domestically, you're kind of thinking, God, that's what you want. But yeah, I didn't rate their performance. They could, I know, look, you could probably say the same for us. But looking at the second leg against Newtown, you would say, God, there's nothing to fear here with Dundalk. Job was done in the first leg for both teams.
And that's what you hope happened. I hope they only watched the second leg and didn't, they can kind of don't rate us at all and underestimate us. But I think, look, on any given day in a European match, if you saw goals the other night, those were incredible the other night. But I look, especially with the first game at home, I think I think it could be a very good match. You'd like to think that, you'd like to think we can get a result out of it. But the fact that we're at home and it's in Tala, we've got serious memories of Tala. So many good European nights over the last couple of years in Tala. They got, and Davy Mack was there. Even though he's gone and come back, Andy Boyle would have been there. So these boys have got to get up for this. They got to get the other lads up for it as well. And it's going to be a cracker of a match. I think the fact that it's now in Tala as well, and 1,000 fans can go, and it's going to be an unbelievable game, I think.
With the away goals gone now, I suppose if you get drawn at home first now, you might as well keep going for it, because there's no, you're not trying to say, oh God, if I concede an away goal here, I'm watching my tail for the second leg, so you might as well go for it.
That's it, yeah. That was always the way. It was all when you had a home match at any level, you always think the first thing you don't want to do is concede goals. And you don't want to concede goals anyway. That was always. It was never like we might get a goal. Don't concede, because it's worth 2 when you go. It's. In a way, I don't like it. I don't actually. I think the away goals is great. But
I think if you're home second though, then it's you'd be kind of cautious like, because if we nick the goal there, they'll be really cautious when they come and play us. But if you're at home first, then if the away goals rule is gone, I think it's actually in your favour.
Yeah, absolutely, and that, like you say, they've got to go for it. They've got to play it like they can't be too cautious with it. They've got to play it for a game what it is. You got to go out, try and win the game. A score draw will do as well. Even if they're beating 1-0.
That's just something playable for the second leg, don't you?
Yeah. You just got to stay in it for the next match, and that's what they'll be thinking. And I think Vinny will send them out just to play ball. I don't think they'll be set up to say, right, we can't concede. They'll be set it. There's plenty of experience there, and Sam stands in the midfield. I know he might not the European, but he's played SPL. Sahib, I don't know. Look at. I know he's got the experience of the MLS, but I still don't. It doesn't cut the mustard for me.
I still don't think he's there, even in any of the plans for that Vinny has for the team. He doesn't seem to be knocking on the front door to be getting into the team. I think he's, to a certain extent, I think he knows exactly who he wants in his starting 11.
Yeah.
And there's I would say 3 to 4 players on a fringe that has a chance of getting in. I don't think Han was there, but I think he's actually probably worked his way in with his work rate when he's come on. He got the goal there against Newtown. I think he's probably worked his way into consideration with Vinny more than he would have wanted, which is good. Yeah. That's a good headache to have. But there's other lads outside of, say, 3-4 players that I don't think he has that much faith in them. They're not his players. He would never have brought them in. He hasn't worked with them before. I think they'd want to seriously impress him in training to stand a chance of cracking in, because I think that starting 11 knows they're pretty much starting every week.
Exactly, and that's probably what was needed. You know, you needed someone like Finney Park to come in and lay down the law and say, look, lads, this is the way it is. I've done this in the past. This is the way I do it. You're not up to it. Now, I'm sure he hasn't gone into you're not up to it, but you got to impress me and you got to show. And I think it was far too in and out and higgledy-piggledy at the start. And you know, anybody anybody was getting a game at one stage, and it was just. But
and the thing
was just go.
No, you go ahead.
No, it's just like Vinny's just conviction and just headstrong. This is the way it is, and you know, I think that's what needed. The law needed laying down to the players.
Yeah, I think there's a lot though of, you know, we said it, that especially new players coming into the league, it's very hard just to hit the ground running in our league and get it. Probably a lot of people underplay our league, and then when they start playing it, they realise, wow, this is quite physical, it's quite technical at times, and you know, you need to be of a very good standard to be able to play it at that high level, especially if you take our table and say the top half teams in particular. You know, you need to be of a very good standard there, and I think to a certain extent, I'm glad that some of these new players aren't walking into the team, because it's not that easy to do. Yeah. And I think that could be possibly part of Vinny's thinking on it is, look, impress me in training, show me that you're better than these lads that's already in your position, and I'll consider you. Yeah. You know, get to that level.
And that's the way it should be. You should be fighting for your place. You shouldn't be nobody should be guaranteed a spot. I mean, Chris Field is probably the only one that's probably guaranteed a spot over the last couple of seasons. But he earned it. You know, he went out. He didn't just say, "Oh, I got it and I'm in and I'm going to kind of, you know, arse about in the field." He earned his spot. He earned his jersey, and that's what Vinny brings to it. And that's why he was kind of all advocating for Vinny or somebody like him, because they need someone to come in and tell them how it is. This is the way it's going to be, and it's proven. You know, they've shown over the last couple of weeks, even when they were beaten against Rovers, but they've shown as a unit that look, this is the way it's going to be. We're going a certain way, and you have to buck up, or you're not going to be playing. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. That's what you want. Look, like we said in the outline, we're going to probably do a fairly quick show tonight. As I said, myself and Gally are the only ones away, and Gally's already looking at the barbecue, trying to figure out what way he wants his burgers done. We'll just have a quick look at the table. Just we mentioned it earlier on. So from the victory last night, Shamrock Rovers stay top on goal difference, equal goal difference, should I say, with St. Patrick's Athletic. Although Pats have played a game extra. Behind them in third is Sligo Rovers, only played 19 games. They are 3 points behind. Then Bulls in fourth place on 30 points on 19 games also. Fifth place then is Drogheda, 21 games, 30 points. Then Dundalk in sixth place, 20 games played, 27 points. So we're 3 points behind with a game in hand over Drogheda. So look, fifth place is there, and I think that's what we got to start looking at. Start closing the gap to fifth, then start closing the gap then to fourth, then after. We're now 2 points clear, should I say, of Derry City with a game played, with a game still to play in advance over them. Then Finn Harps behind that. We've now put a 7-point gap. When you think how well Harps were playing at the start of the year, to now be 7 points ahead of them, and a game in hand over them as well. So I think probably when you look at Harps then on 20 points, Waterford on 16 points, and Longford on 10 points. That's our own little mini league going on between the bottom three of who's getting automatic relegation and who's for the relegation playoff. I think you know, Longford will probably want to start getting 1 or 2 wins. They're just bang out of luck at the moment. I think they just cannot.
Margie said it a couple of weeks ago. They just cannot. Like, and he is right. They've played well. They could defend against us, but they just cannot buy a win. They just can't seem to get that luck of the rub of the green for themselves. And it's a pity. Longford
has picked up 2 wins in the last 5 games, and a draw is kind of really is rubbed salt in the wounds for them there as well. And I just think Harps, you know, it's funny. All he did say, he just wants to keep getting points on the board now because he doesn't expect them to be where they were, and that's, you know, in the top 3 at that stage. And funny enough, that's probably come true to fruition now. They're third from bottom and probably haven't picked up that much points of late either. I think 1 point in the last 5 that we can see on that. So look, we all we can do is just keep keep the gap, I suppose, between us and Derry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and then Shotwell and then Wada.
Like once that gap stays or hopefully gets bigger, we'll close, because I think Bows are that kind of team that could drop a lot of points between now and the end of the season. You just do have that in them. Like you wouldn't take it on the other night's performance in Aviva, but it's still all to play for. We didn't think we'd be in this position 6 or 7 weeks ago, because no better people in town to hammer them when we were talking about our podcast. But it's a turnaround, and look at it. You got to be, what's the word I'm looking for? You got to be ambitious about it. They have to treat it like a brand new season. So I'd split the season in half. Say, right, lads, there's X amount of points up for grabs at the extra season, but you have to hit that target, and they'll be fine. And I think that's kind of what Vinny's philosophy is.
And I think if you take the Shamrock Rovers result out of it there of late, it has been pretty positive in the results and everything else. So that's what you got to accentuate.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, well, as I say, we won't dwell on it too much tonight. We'll probably have a full lot back for Thursday. I'll join you on the way back home from Tala when we're there. Just real quickly then, I suppose, for yourself, Gary, prediction for the Talon game in Tala.
I don't see us winning. I think maybe a 1-1. I'm very conservative there. Like, look, I've only watched Talon and goals and highlights and like YouTube and stuff like that. I can't be any kind of scout for that game, but I wouldn't take a 1-1, but I think I think a 1-1. Like any kind of score draw would be great if they're going to draw, but I think 1-1 for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. I was thinking like a 1-1. Look, I'd love it if the thing about tonight's victory is I think we didn't play well, but still got the goal and still held out for it. And I like to think if we can get our noses in front early, we could. There's a potential we could do that. We could just hold out for a 1-0, and that would be an amazing result. But I just feel if they get the goal early against us, the best I think we could be a draw out of it. I still think we still struggle a little in breaking the teams down. But if we get the goal, we seem to have got this confidence that we can hold leads now, and that can be the difference. So the first goal is just all important for me. Depends on how that sways. Like we've seen teams in Tala when we played them before. I'm thinking of Mulder before that. First half, Mulder come out second half, and they're a completely different team when we played them that time last year. So it's just hit or miss. I'd like us to have the 1-0 victory, but I'm more in favour of the 1-1. I think similar to yourself. And look, same to yourself. I would take the 1-0. 1-0 gives us plenty still to play for. I think that's the key. You just have to have something still to play for coming into the second leg. You got to have something there, because a rash tackle, a card, adverse weather conditions, you never know what you could come up against. So if you're still, if the tie is still alive and you have something to play for, that's all you can ask for.
Exactly. You've gone on cyborg there, like Star Trek. Microphone.
Did I make any point?
I don't know if it's just my phone or Joe Mike.
It's one or the other. If ever there was a catalyst for us to end the show tonight, then maybe that's it. Robot microphones are not it. End note. How do we end tonight? What we say there? How are we going to end tonight?
100%, absolutely. Yeah. That's the look at that's. We said it already. Finn Harps, considering what they had at the start of the season, we struggled to turn over teams like that. We couldn't buy wins against. We couldn't even play well. So when you come out of a win like that tonight, you can't ask much more than that. Especially on a day like that, it's like, geez, you wouldn't even play golf on a day like that. It's crazy.
We'll end it on then. The sun's out. Dundalk win. What more could you ask for?